Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. This is the Idiots on the Airwaves podcast. He's the idiots, and I'm on the airwaves.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, little known fact that's actually what the name means. So today we will be talking about people. Why are they so tall?
Why are they so short?
Why are they? Hey, I mean it's true, but be quiet.
Why are they so fat?
Dang harsh. Okay, well, to kick it off, I guess we should ask you the real question that lets you know about everyone's personality. Are you an introvert, or are you a bad person? That is how I view the world, and you cannot change it.
Sounds like an introvert to me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we in the extrovert world, it's just, are you an extrovert or are you just really, really boring?
Dang. I mean, it's accurate, but still hurt.
I don't know how accurate it is to most extroverted people as being classified as a bad person, but I'm just gonna take it and not say anything. Supposedly, I'm the extrovert and he's the introvert. So, or you're on the other side of the screen probably. So he's the introvert. What if we switched roles for a day?
Oh, gosh. Please don't do that.
I cannot even imagine you trying to be me.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine that either. I would just.
I'm not even the best example.
Just crawl into a hole and just be like, "Yep, this is where I'll be spending my days from now on. I will see you all later."
Oh man. While I sit there, quiet for a day or so. I mean, it doesn't sound like a terrible deal. It just gets boring after a while because it's too quiet. Then again, I've always lived in a life of sound, so
that's fair.
It's never been used to the whole quiet concept like that, at least.
Yes. Words. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
I don't know what I don't know. It's not like this is going to be another one of those cliche introvert versus extrovert video, which one are you and what are the ups and downs of being them, unless you want to go there, and hopefully we can talk about maybe something a little more nuanced than every other video on the internet about this.
Yeah, no, I find the entire introvert versus extrovert thing also a little bit stupid because I don't think anyone's really one or the other. It also depends who you're around, because I would say in general I'm introverted, but at the same time I am wacky and goofy. And I also don't lose energy around certain people, and other people I look at them for 3 seconds and I'm okay, I'm gonna go take a nap now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that can be most people. It's kind of stupid thing. Anyways, yeah, I guess the whole introvert extrovert thing is a social construct, you could say.
I mean, yeah.
But it can be, because even if you do put it on a spectrum, there's so many people that are still super nuanced and stuff, and it's it's just kind of a catch-all phrase for people who don't want to bother using too many words. That's how I've seen it. Because there's like you said, I think everybody to a certain degree is like what you said, where it's people who, some people don't tire you out, and some people do really quickly. So it's something like that. But then again, that's also about that's kind of how people work anyways in certain groups. I mean, because everybody at one point has been in a group where there's a mix of all those kind of people, or it's one or the other.
Yeah.
And that's where the personality comes into play, I think, depending on which area you've been in. Because you've got people that don't wear you out at all. whenever you hang around them. You know? Yeah. I mean, because I do too. And then it's kind of, for me, it's kind of like, there's the groups of people that I like that don't wear me out, and then there's people that I know of but don't talk to.
Yeah.
Because if they wear me out, you know, it's kind of odd. I also have a very awkward, according to a few people, outlook on people and how I socially interact.
That's fair. Yeah, no, bro, acquaintances are so weird. This is one thing I will say as an introvert. If I'm acquaintance with somebody, it's because they annoy me. I don't know, but for me, it's like,
yeah.
If you're an acquaintance, it's like, wow, I don't want to talk to you, but I know you, and I have to be nice to you because you know people I know. So hello there. I will be leaving now. Yeah, acquaintances are weird.
Yeah. Acquaintances are split up in a bunch of different groups for me because it's like there's those kind of people like that, but they're there's very few of them, if like any at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the other level of acquaintances, which is basically friends of friends or friends of family members. I kind of lump them together into one group because they're friends of someone else that I know.
Yeah.
And that kind of turns into, okay, I know your name. Your brother is probably my friend. Or at least I know his name too. I probably know your dad and what he does. I probably have met your mom, and that's like it. Because I get exposed to a lot of people frequently. So there's a lot of people that I know of and like know their names, but not really not exactly people I would call friends. And then people like have dropped down from being a friend to an acquaintance over time just because we haven't talked in a while, or I don't know, they changed or something, you know.
Yeah. I have a very different outlook. Basically, to me, the category is friend, acquaintance, and I don't know you. Yeah.
That's very simple, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good, not gonna lie.
Yeah, and it's really funny because what I say is that I don't have many acquaintances because I just don't usually ask about stuff like that or get to know people like in-depthly about who they know a lot. So it's really weird because like one of my best friends, like we've been friends for like 7 years. I only recently figured out he actually had 2 brothers instead of 1. So, you know.
What?
Yep.
Okay.
And I don't know either of their names.
Well, that's interesting. You have a very interesting lifestyle, buddy.
Yes.
I mean, then again, though, it's not the most awkward in the world because I only happen to know a lot of my friends' and siblings' names because they're probably friends with my siblings. Mm-hmm. So I just about stuff, and that's how I know their names to begin with. Otherwise, like I wouldn't have bothered knowing their names, and I probably wouldn't have known their names. But it's also kind of interesting because there's it's friends and relationships like this kind of work on a Venn diagram for me. Because there's the circle of friends and acquaintances, and kind of to intersect them, but more so leaning towards the friends is adults. There's different kinds of friendships and acquaintanceships that I would have with adults. And friendships and acquaintanceships, if that's not a word, it is now. It's a different kind of friendship that I would have with an adult as opposed to someone my age, but I still call it a friendship because that's what it is. Like I'm pretty chill with a bunch of adults, I think. And I don't know where that comes from. Honestly, I think it just comes from me being the oldest grandchild. So I've met like every family member or something. So it's all very it's all kind of interesting.
Yeah. Oh, so here's a question that I love asking people. Do you call close family and friends like aunt and uncle?
No, no, I
Okay.
am not one of those people. But I know plenty, a surprising amount of people who do that. My family does not. We have never done that. No. Do you?
No, no, in a way. Um, Being Hispanic, just in my general family, there are people if they're older than me, they're my aunt or uncle. If they're younger than me, if they're significantly younger than me, they're my nephews or nephewettes,
Nieces.
nieces. There we go.
Nieces. Nephewettes.
Don't worry about it. So yeah, there is probably a chance that one of my tios is not related to me at all. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised because I lost track of that family tree a long time ago. But other than that,
Wow.
no. Okay, and then here's the other question. What is like the setup to call an adult? Because this is something that's weird. This is one of the bit of the culture shocks that I got from moving to the South or Texas. I don't know. People get confused whether or not Texas is the South. Anyways,
It's a big state.
yeah, that's fair. And they'll say Miss first name a lot, and that is so alien to me, bro. It's always Mrs. last name. There is about two people in this world who I call by their Miss first name, and they are like really, really close family friends that I grew up with. So it's weird to me. What is your opinion on the how to
Wait,
adult
so can
talk?
oh, okay, so for adults you mean like the titles I would give to adult
Yeah,
people that I know? Okay, well, for guys it's easy, it's just Mr. last name
yeah,
for anybody. Anybody. I never grew up calling anyone by their first name coupled with a title. To be honest, not even my uncles and aunts I would ever call uncle and aunt
hmm,
name. You know, um, like unless there was someone that I like, not really respected, but just someone that like I don't know. I don't know. There's different. There was the side of the family that I saw all the time, so I got so used to seeing them and so used to talking with them that I never bothered to really put in the title of aunt or uncle just
yeah,
because. And it was never something that was ever really spoken about. And then there was a side of the family that I almost never saw, and because of that, I would always call them aunt and uncle name, even though on a different level that same familiarity was there, just on a different level. I don't know, but as far as adults that aren't family members, it's always been Mr. last name, Mrs. last name, and I try to say Miss last name and Mr. last name for the younger adults that I know, but they don't let me. Um, well, to be honest, it's more so the women that don't let me. The guys are chill with it because, like, I know a few, like, 20, 21 year olds or something that I would call, like, Mr. Maybe Mr. first name or Mr. last name. I never did the Mr. and Miss first name thing. It always it feels kind of awkward.
yeah. I agree. Because like the only people I ever did it for was literally two people who I grew up next to for 9 years of my life. So like we were really close family friends, and I would just like wander into their house sometimes. So like those were the only people I ever used like the Mister and Mrs. first name. So it's weird because culture shock. Everybody does that down here, and I'm like, huh? No,
Huh.
no, that's weird. And then they're just
Yeah,
like, no, you're weird.
I I don't know anybody that does that, and I've certainly never done that. So that's kind of weird to me. It's always been Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah,
Last name for me for practically everybody,
yeah.
unless like they're not married or they're like under 25. in which case most of the time they will insist upon me just using first name, which can kind of feel awkward to me because there's a level of respect I want to give them as a new person, like new to me.
Yeah.
So it gets weird, but we like I make jokes about it and we laugh about it, and then I eventually comply with their wishes because you know I don't need to carry on that silliness for that long.
Basically,
But
my thing
yeah,
with young adults is if I knew you before you turned like 18, I'm just gonna call you by whatever I called you before. But if I didn't, I'm just gonna go default to Mr. Mrs. last name. I mean, that's
yeah,
basically the way I do
yeah,
it.
same. That's the way I've always done it too. Because I know a bunch of guys now that have like grown up or something, and it's like I can't call you Mister Last Name. I have to call you first name. Still, I'm too used to it. I can't.
Yeah, what are the people I knew who was like, I think he's like maybe 4 years older than me. Anyways, he's somebody I knew and he's one of my friend's brothers, and he became our theater director, and I'm just like, and all of the kids
Ooh.
just were like, "No, you're not. You're just first name. I'm sorry. We all know who you are. I'm sorry. You don't earn the
You get
title."
a well. Is it earning the title, or is it a higher level of respect that you don't call him Mister Last Name and keep just the
Fair.
first name? Is it
Fair.
is it is it a higher level of respect to do that or not? That's the actual question.
I don't know. I don't see an issue with that. That's one of the things for like with the naming things and like, oh, you got to be respectful. I don't really care. Like
Yeah,
if I was a
yeah.
teacher, I genuinely probably wouldn't care. Like I don't. It's my
Yeah.
name. Call me
People have
whatever you
called me
want.
people have called me Mr. Naaden before. And that puts me in the shoes of the people I've tried to call like Mr. or Miss last name before because people are like they say it with it in like some kind of ceremony or like with some like false publicity because of some joke that was being said or something. But being told like like Mr. Naaden said to me, like to refer to me, it has always been like shocking, uncomfortable, and well, I guess to tie in with uncomfortable, but also different, incredibly embarrassing
Yeah.
because Mr. Naaden is my father.
Yeah.
I, there was one person that used to call me Lawrence, and that was because for some reason he would keep calling me my dad's name, and so he would just call me by my middle name. I don't know
Huh?
why, but that was kind of funny.
Right. Man, middle
Yeah,
names are weird. Um,
middle names are fun.
they
If I was to
are.
have an alias, it would be my first. It would be my middle name first as a first option, just because it's cool. I like my middle name too. It's fun.
Yeah, you gotta have a fun middle name though. I'm not gonna give out my middle name because sorry, internet, you're not getting my full name. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe if I hit 10,000 subs, and then a million subs will be my social security. Get on it, boy. No, I'm just gonna keep laying
10,000
out these
subs. Let's
mysteries.
go.
I don't actually care, but I'm gonna keep laying out these mysteries, and they're gonna be like,
You don't even
I,
need to keep your face hidden, and
no,
you
I
still
know.
do it just to
I
keep it
just
up.
do it for fun now. I genuinely don't have a reason to do it. I just do it for fun now. Um, but no. Anyways, the problem with my middle name
I see
is I have the most generic Hispanic name in the world. Um, so nothing would change if I went by my middle name. It would still be very stereotypical. So that's my issue with my middle name. What is other
I don't
weird
see it.
naming conventions? How did we get on names?
I mean, you did the uncle and aunt thing where
Oh,
people like
true.
really really close friends do that. And I know a surprising amount of people that do that, and it's not. I don't know why we never did it as a family, but I also don't. But at the same time, I don't know why other people do it. Like it's kind of sus, but at the same time, it's like Wait, why don't we do it then? And why is it sus? Or just different?
Yeah,
It's
I
not even
don't.
sus, it's just different.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I had a thought. I
It's just
lost it.
no. Oh, I hate when that happens, bro. That sucks. Well, I mean, if we can hang on, how do we move from names? We move from names. So this.
Oh, right. I remember it. So here's my
Oh,
question. Here's just a quick question. Is it more
all right.
embarrassing to ask somebody whose name you should know their name, or just to pretend like you know it?
I'm sorry. Can you rephrase the question?
So if there's this person you know, and you don't know their name, but you've been talking to them, so you should know their name, and they've told you your name, but you just can't remember it, is it more embarrassing to ask them what their name is, or just pretend like you know it?
It's embarrassing to ask for their name, but it's um you will regret it more if you pretend like you know their name because then the conversation's over and you go your separate ways and you're like, I still don't know that person's name. Ugh. At
Yes.
least that's been my experience every time that has happened because that has happened more times than I care to recount, which is a lot of things. But anyways,
Yeah. I think it's more embarrassing to pretend like you know their name, but I always pretend to know their name. Um,
mm.
so yeah, I'll just be like, "Yep,
Is there
I
any
know your name."
particular reason?
Oh,
Is there
I'm
any
just
particular
wondering.
reason for that? No, is there
Uh,
any particular reason for like wondering about like pretending their name?
I don't want to offend them. I feel like if I ask them what their name is, it feels like I wasn't paying attention. Would no, I'm just terrible with names and can't remember basic
Oh,
things. Like, it has
you
nothing
can
to do
spin
with
that.
them. I'm just bad at remembering that stuff. So, but I don't want to offend them because I feel like it's like, sorry, I couldn't be
You feel like
bothered to
that's an
remember what your
offensive
name
thing.
was.
Okay, okay. Well, I mean that kind of depends on the person's interpretation because honestly, it's happened to me where I was the subject of that, and I I don't care. I don't mind saying it again. If you forgot, it's just some people just forget, man.
You know,
I
I'm
don't
the
have a
same
problem with
way.
that.
I don't really get offended by stuff like that. I don't know why people do. Like, if somebody like forgot something about you, I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't blame you. I
To be
don't know what any of
perfectly
my
honest,
friends'
I don't
birthdays
even.
are, so
What? Seriously?
no, I seriously don't. I know one person's birthday because it's on the same day as a holiday, and I've just realized I've forgotten what that holiday is. So it is one of the
Oh,
multitudes of holidays. So
I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and like shame you or nothing, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, I've never met a person like you before.
oh,
Sheesh.
actually, no, I have memorized one other person's birthday, but I know it's the wrong day.
Wait, so you haven't actually memorized their birthday? You just remember the wrong day.
Yes, but I know it's close to then. Like, I know I have the right month and the right week, but I know the wrong day.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yep, I'm just that good of a friend. Also,
solid,
asking
dude.
people when their birthdays are kind of weird. I don't know, that's just
Well,
something I feel weird about asking.
okay. That's an interesting topic because I would kind of agree with you because well, give your reasoning as to why.
I don't. It's just something that to me, asking people questions tends to be like weird and just like a normal conversation. Like, I know it's not, and I don't mind if people ask me that, but I feel like asking somebody else a question is just kind of awkward and weird, and I don't like to do it. So, like, blatantly asking somebody, hey's when your birthday, just feels weird to me. I don't mind if people ask me that, but for me to ask somebody else just feels weird to me, so I don't usually do it. So I don't usually like have a really good reference to be like, oh, okay, that was your birthday. And I should ask people and I should write it down. I just haven't. I know I should, but I haven't.
Well, I mean, should you ask people when their birthdays are, but I mean, like, I know why it's kind of weird for me to ask people when their birthdays are, but that's all. But that's kind of because I have convinced myself, for some reason, that if you ask someone when their birthday is, it gives them the idea that you have implied that they are going to be receiving a gift from you, or
That's
at least birthday wishes, which, depending on the person, can be really embarrassing for God knows why.
mm-hmm.
Because it honestly shouldn't be that embarrassing. Honestly, people should be honored about that. I would be. I would be. I would be a little apprehensive about telling them my birthday, because gifts is one of those things where it's like, I don't want to draw attention to myself. Please don't give me gifts. My parents will think that I bribed someone to give me gifts. But at the same time, it's honestly really humbling for somebody to ask, like, hey, when your birthday is, and then to, like, maybe give you something, like, or maybe you forget that you even told them when your birthday was, and you just received it from them, and you're like, oh wow, that was really touching. But then, but you can't guarantee that that would actually happen, or that thought process would go through someone's mind, because there's people who would think that, and then there's people who think, oh no, he's giving me a gift. Oh no, maybe he likes me. Oh no, and then there's like stuff, that goes through people's heads, and it's all like, kind of out there.
Yeah, no, because that's also another thing. It's because I don't really send people stuff for their birthdays. It's just not really something I ever grew up with. Once again, I had a weird childhood, and I guess I was relatively friendless. That's like a weird thing to say. I'm not like one of those kids like, I didn't have any friends when I grew up. No, I just wasn't very close to a lot of people when I was like much younger. So sending people birthday gifts and like birthday wishes is something that I never really did, like ever. So that's also something, because that'd be the main reason I would think to ask somebody their birthday. And since I don't do that, it's like, it doesn't really occur to me that, like, that's an important thing.
Well, at that point, it's just stuff that's like, either you grew up with it or you didn't.
Yeah. So it's like, because I don't
know what
think
you're going to do about that. Because people... Right, and I've actually talked to people about that in a hypothetical, where it's like, what do you think of people that, like, don't think about birthdays? Like, what if they just grew up, like, not doing it because of, whatever? And those, and people typically respond to me, well, not typically, some people have responded to me with, like, whatever. Birthdays, once a year, because some people just don't regard birthdays as special days for whatever reason. I think inherently that they are, but, and then there's some people that are like, I think it's cool, but I don't want to be made a fuss over. And then there's people that are like, man, people who don't acknowledge birthdays are just really bad people. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And they're like, why? Are you one of those people? And I'm like, no, I was just asking. And then they sit there like, okay, good. And I'm like, man, you good? You bitter?
They're just like, you better not be.
yeah, basically like that. And it's like,
Yeah, no, because for me, I guess I am one of those weird people who's like, birthdays aren't really a big deal. But it's not like I'm saying that, like, they aren't a big deal, because I think the age is a big deal. Like, that's the weird, also the weird thing is I think the age is a big deal, but, like, the actual day that happens on is weirdly disconnected from that for me. That's just one of the weird things that my mind works. But it's just something that I didn't, like, we actually, weirdly enough, I think we celebrate birthdays more than other people sometimes, but it was never something with huge emphasis on. And it was always something that for me, I was like, I just want to have a cake and hang out. I don't really want anything too big or like special to be done.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to hang out because that's what my personality is. So it was just never really a big deal for me. So whenever I became closer to people, to the point where normal people would be like, celebrating all their birthdays, I was just like, whatever. I don't care if you miss my birthday. It was just whatever to me. It's like, it feels great whenever somebody wishes you a happy birthday, but I'm not going to be like, you're a terrible friend if you don't. It was just whatever. Like, if you want to have fun, I appreciate it. If not, what you gonna do? I don't really get offended by that. So yeah,
That's interesting because that point, what your point of view is something that I only acquired with age, right? Because I grew up thinking that birthdays were like a huge thing, and I would get so sad when I missed somebody's birthday, and I would get slightly hurt when somebody missed mine, and so I would always make sure to do stuff with people on my birthdays. And then I started like getting older, as if I am that old, but I started to become a teenager, and then it started to mean less for some reason.
I think
There's no actual good reason, but it just became have some brownies that my sisters made and blow out the candles, and that's about it. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to have anything big and huge for my 18th birthday, and all the adults are asking me, like, because I'm the youngest of all my friend groups, right? So everybody's had their 18th birthday already. Two of my friends are having a graduation party soon, and people are asking me, like, you going to do anything cool for your 18th birthday, kid? And I'm like,
no,
I don't know, man. Ask me around like January. My birthday ain't until March.
Yeah, I know. That's also the weird thing. Weird thing now for teenagers, our friend groups are becoming adults, and that's not okay. I don't like that.
Neither do I.
But yeah,
It's kind of, but my reasoning it might be different from yours.
That's true.
Because I have different reasoning as to why I don't like it.
I think I think the reason why as you get older, I think a lot of people start thinking less about birthdays is I really think like after your 13th birthday, everything starts getting like a little muddled together. Cause like when you're a kid, it's 13, you're a teenager, or like 6 to 7, it's like, oh, that's a big deal. But whenever you get to like 14 to 15 to 16, it's like, it's not that big of a jump. Like, there's major points like 17 and 16, but it all starts going together where you're like...
17 is a major jumping point?
I've always thought about it like that. I think it's just because that's when you can get your license. I think that's the only reason.
16, yes. But 17 was that odd number always for me, between 16 and 18. Like, you become a legal adult at 18. So what the hell is 17 doing there between 16 and 18? It's like... There's just this one number where you don't have a big thing. It's like, and then you celebrate for the odd thing to be ironic, and then that wears off.
Yeah.
And then it comes back again, and then it's just like, it's just a weird number, man.
I guess 17 was a big thing for me because it was kind of like the last vestige of childhood in a way. Like, for a lot of people, that would be their junior year. Like,
that makes sense. Yeah.
In a way, I guess for me, I always looked at it as that kind of like final thing before you really had to start thinking about your future, which is strange because I'm sitting here at 17 and I am thinking about my future a lot. So that didn't work out.
I don't want to think about my future. I hate it. I so much, but I have to think about it because my parents got to know how much money they got to shell out on college if I even go. And I'm just
all right, here, kid, how much you gonna put us in the gutter?
And I'm sitting here just, I don't want to do anything with my life.
Same though.
But then again, actually, that was something that Dad and I were talking about today and yesterday. Is like so many people that we know. So many young kids don't want to do anything with their life, and it's kind of because of the whole fiasco of 2020. You like parents begin working from home, and then stuff looks good, and then you realize that you can work from home all the time, and you don't act, and like driving places doesn't actually like do anything, and then all of a sudden, like if you're in a family like mine, the parents begin to realize, oh, wait, we've constructed an area where our kids don't want to leave. And then they try to shoo us out into the world. And we're like, why? Why would we leave? Honestly, why? There's so many things we can do to make money by not going anywhere. I can leave when I get married. But until then, you can't make me leave the house. No, you can't make me. I'll leave. I'll leave if I can. If I have dependents of my own. But until then, nah, mate. And like,
Nah.
and that's even with college, and that bewilders a lot of old people I know because it's like, why wouldn't you go to college? That's where you get the connections. That's where you meet people. That's what actually gets you the desire to get out and get married and get out of the house. That's supposed to be the desire thing. But even that got ruined by COVID somehow. And our generation is kind of weird now because of it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people I know now that are like, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah, and that's an issue, but at the same time, college is a scam, and I don't mean that in... Okay, let me explain my reasoning behind that. You don't need to go to college.
Yes, please do.
That's basically it. That'd be my one thing to say on your point, is that I think the push for college... I don't know why it's there.
College is overhyped.
It is.
Hot take.
Like, it's not a bad thing. I'm not like one of those people that like, if you go to college, you're just playing the system and it's going to chew you out and eat you out. Yeah, no, that's stupid. But if you like want to go to trade school or just like work some menial labor job, do it. I don't know why people are like, you have to go to college. No, you don't. That's not true. And businesses that are like, well, to work here, you have to have a degree that has nothing to do with the job we're hiring you for. That's also stupid. College is overhyped.
Yeah.
Like, I don't... This is my college rant. Once again, I'm going to college for a useless degree. So I'm the prime person who should be like, going to college is great. It's not necessary.
Your college is through high school, right? Because you're already in college.
Well, yeah, but I have to go back to college. I just get an associate's degree.
What?
Yeah, I still have to get my bachelor's.
Oh, yeah, because you can do the extra year for the bachelor's.
Yeah. 3 semesters.
I forgot that you were doing that, right?
And I have a useless bachelor's degree.
Hey, but that degree gets you places because remember, it's
true.
not actually what the degree... It's not actually what the degree is. It's just to say that you have the letters, you know, you have BA next to your name, you're fine. Okay.
Yep. But yeah, it's weird. And yeah, I think COVID's made stuff really weird. But at the same time, I think it's also like the working from home thing specifically. We never needed offices in like the 2010s. Like, to be completely honest, COVID showed that things can function okay without going places. Like, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
It can be. I think it also revealed, like, just how much stuff we do is just, like, so redundant. And it's like, okay, but why did we even do this to begin with? Like,
well, we did it to begin with because we didn't have the technology. But then we kept doing it even when we had the technology. And I mean, my dad's fortunate enough to support his entire family here from working from home, and that's what he's been doing ever since like I can remember. And so it always confused me, like when mom and dad said, remember, we're very, very fortunate because 99.9% of their families have to have a dad that like leaves to go for a job, or their mom, or both of them, in which case they have to go to school. So most of your friends are just different from us and they have a different experience. And I'm like, okay, but why? Even as a small child, I was like, why? And then 2020 hit and everybody's like, oh my gosh, you can work from home. I'll never have to go back to the office. And my dad and I are just sitting there like, yeah.
What a world.
Yeah, it's like, wow, what a concept, right?
Yeah.
It's like, but then again, it's like, and college has become the same thing. I mean, you're doing college from home. Like your 3 semesters to get the bachelor's degree, you can still do from home, right? You're still going to do from home.
Yeah, it is easier than traveling across the country to go sit alone in a dorm room and study, so yeah.
That's what I mean. And even if you had homies to go with you to college, you'd need like, it would have to be like really enticing, dude, to be honest. Because I'll only go to college if there's like 2 or 3 homies that'll go with me, like minimum.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, even if it's like the local college, it's like 40 minutes from here. It's so like, why would I travel that far? Honestly, I have all this stuff set up around me right now. I'm in my garage in my home studio. And here I sit. I can write all this music. I can post it online for money for video games that I'm still writing for my brother, and I have to I still have to get that done, but I can build this career, and presumably I can potentially make as much money as I am right now within by the time the next school year ends, which isn't a lot of money, but if I can make that much money, I'll have a revenue share, and then like maybe I go to college and hopefully I can keep it up, and then like that will be the thing that I want to support my family with or something. And I'm still going to run the YouTube channel. I mean, I'm almost at 500 subscribers. This is huge for me because I actually have one of the requirements for monetization done. I just need 1,000 subscribers now. So I'm like, okay, I gotta start actually doing something now because now the dream is becoming tangible.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with my YouTube thing is no one's watching it, but I'd rather sit here and at least try than go pour like hundreds of $1,000s into a degree that realistically I know I'm never going to use. Quite literally, the main reason I'm getting this degree is A, because it looks nice. Second of all, I want to be able to flex on people with a useless degree. Like, the degree is in history, so I can just be like, you can't fight with me. I have a degree in history.
I have all the context in the world.
Exactly, and it's like, does that like make you money? No, not at all. But
that's the weirdest thing because older people describe college as like you don't need the like they never considered how using the degree in the first place. Like my mom has a bachelor's in like English or something, and like you can say that she utilizes it kind of for homeschooling the little kids, but it's like it's not like she ever went out and like made a career out of the degree itself. Whereas my dad actually did. He has a master's in business. He utilizes it like every day of his life. He's one of those people that actually has used the degree to make a career, which is great. But so many people I know describe getting a degree as a time kill, waiting for something else to come up, you know, which is how some jobs work. I mean, I've met a bunch of moms that are like that said that they went to school and you know, just got this degree to kill time, and they worked to kill time until they got married, and then they could have a family, and then they could quit their job and stop going to school and actually focus on being homemakers. That's the story of my mom. Granted, she still helps my dad because there's not that many people in the business, so she still helps, but her main role is still homemaker. So she described it to me like that, and it's always intrigued me. And I wonder if I can ask you this, because in my head, if this college thing is really such a waste of time and it's useless because it doesn't actually apply, I'll get to that later, I guess, so I'll just stick with the B. Does that apply to the rest of school?
Okay. Alright, so I think I actually have the answers. So first of all, I don't think it's useless, necessarily. What I think it is I think there's a lot of degrees which are basically there to just, like, teach you how to learn in a way. And this is something I've heard that my mother tells me, that why you should go to college, or at least finish higher education, is because in some way, is that even if the end goal is useless, you're still basically learning how to learn. You learn how to, like, pay attention, how to study, how to research. You get all of that from it. So even if it...
Is that necessary, though?
I'm getting to that. So this is something. I am a strong believer in, like... How do I say this? Like, titles or, like, achievement... how do I phrase this? Like, things that... Qualifications. I'm a strong believer that, like, qualifications that you have to earn are not necessary. I know plenty of people without a history degree who have been able to teach me history way better than like professors. So that's something that I think is that even if you haven't gone through college or all the necessary steps to do that, I don't think that automatically makes you less smart than the people who've gone through it. Don't get me wrong, a lot of them are, and if you have those qualifications, you're probably a better source, like, usually, but I don't think it's necessary.
Presumably, according to society.
Yeah, like, I would say that I have met much better teachers who have no qualification being teachers than people who have, like, gone through all the steps to be teachers. So, I don't think it's useless, but I think there's a lot of education which you can learn by yourself outside of a school setting. Like my love of history, this thing I'm going to college for, it was never fostered by education. And in fact, for how much I love history, I've taken very few history courses. It's entirely come from an outside source of me being interested in stories, or interested in why things are the way they are. And it was entirely self-motivated. And that's why I love history, and why I'm so fine with it, is because it wasn't something that I ever looked at like, dates and stuff. I was like, I'm interested in this, let me go research it. So through that, I began to love history. And I hate names and dates. I genuinely do. And I'm way more...
You hated it when as a little kid where you had to like recite all these names and dates. Like, who is the first president of the United States? When was the Declaration of Independence signed? When did the Revolutionary War end?
Yes.
When did the Civil War end?
Because this is the thing. In my middle
school... When did the U.S. nuke Japan? The second time.
The second. But yeah, like, this is the thing. In middle school, I had a Romans class. I did great on the homework assignments. I did great in class participation. I could tell you so many of the ideas and so many of the major players and why they're important. Yeah. I got a 60 on the final test because I'm not good with names and dates, which is weird because as a historian, but I'm good at people who interest me and ideas and why certain events happened, not necessarily who's behind them or like when it happened. I can tell you general timelines and stuff like that because the exact dates and names aren't as important to me. So I still passed that class because I was able to take that and apply it to the homework. Because this is just stuff that I loved. I loved researching on my own. So I'm not somebody who is like, you don't need to go to school. I think going to school is a very good idea. But at the same time, it's not for everybody, and there's different ways to learn. I'm not somebody who's going to say, don't go to school. I actually think going to school is a very good idea and everyone should do it. I think at least through high school. Especially if it's free, even if it sucks. I'd say tough through it. It's going to help you. But I also say, seek academics outside of school too. If there's a teacher you really like or a subject you're really interested in, do it by yourself. In some way, if you really want to educate yourself about something, don't make it homework. Because that's something that I had to do with history. It couldn't be homework. If I took so many history courses, that's so much homework, I would have ruined my love of history. Because then it would have become work. But by instead doing it on my own and learning about it on my own terms without making it homework, I now have a pretty good knowledge of history. And now as I take these classes, even though sometimes I might get super annoyed at the homework and not want to do it, it doesn't kill my passion for it. And that's something that happened to me, like, with math. Not to toot my own horn, because I don't agree with it, but I'm decent at math, alright? I'm fine with it. I was a grade ahead or two for most of my life. But because I never really used it outside of the homework context, I kind of killed my, love for it, and it's not really fun to me anymore. It's more of a chore. And I don't know if that's something I can ever get back. So for that, it's like, school kind of killed any higher education interest I would have in it. So if there's so I'm saying, like, you should go to school and you should tough through the homework, in my personal opinion. I think that at worst you're going to be slightly annoyed for a bit, but I think it's like it teaches you diligence, it teaches you how to explain yourself, and I think overall it's a good thing. But at the same time, I don't think that you have to go to school to be smart. I don't think you have to take 5 courses on something to be knowledgeable in it. I think that it's all stuff that helps for sure. But I think just learning about stuff by yourself or talking to people is also good. Like, also part of my love is history is me and my family went to a lot of small museums. I got to talk to a lot of the people who curated them, and I got to find out about just really interesting things that they knew. So it also kind of been on a personal level that's like, oh, these people know the history of this area, and that's cool. It's cool that they know that and have that love for it, and I'm interested in people, so it's just cool to talk to them. Even though I am pretty socially awkward and talking to people is not my strong suit, it's something that, in a way, history has helped me, like, kind of try and push past, because I also, like, want to know all these things. So yeah, you don't need an education to be smart. Don't let people tell you that. But at the same time, it doesn't hurt. I think education is good, but it's not always a requirement. And I also think the word smart is a bit, like, too rooted in academics. Like, I think I would take somebody with common sense or street smarts over somebody with book smarts usually, like in most instances. So I think that's also a bit rooted in weird things. That's like, you can be knowledgeable without being educated in a way. There's a way to be smart without being knowledgeable. I guess that's what I'm saying.
That's called being wise.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I think there's a wisdom that comes outside of education that education just doesn't teach you. And that wisdom can come from anybody, even very unlikely sources.
Well, gosh, there's a lot to unpack in what you said, because I must say I agree with a lot of what you said, especially in regards to the your remarks about learning on your own, because I must confess that most of my life I've been a dabbler, and quite unfortunately, in my personal view, a very good dabbler. I get the hang of things stupidly quickly, and there are times when I just really don't like it, because I just get really good at something, and I just don't like how I got so good at it so quickly that it kind of annoys me because of the things that people say with regards to it. But what happened? There were some things that I did that I knew I needed to go to school for, and there were some things that I did that I knew, honestly, I didn't even need to finish high school to get through. There's my problem with finishing higher education and stuff as kind of a thing is that it's always been how do I say this? I used to do computer coding for a while, on and off, and that was something I could actually make a decent career out of without even the necessary, without even an associate's degree in it, honestly, because all the information required is honestly on the internet and in pick up at the library. Right? It's like, for coding, I don't need to go to college for it. I don't need to waste so much money. For music, my gosh, music school is stupidly overpriced. I don't need to go to music school. I don't need to go to music school. I've been playing guitar for 6.5 years, and I've been writing music for like 3 years now, and I'm doing swimmingly. And I've got all this gear. I've got a setup. I'm producing higher quality music that I haven't uploaded yet, but I will eventually. I'm still working on a few things. But I don't need to do stuff for music. But when I did 3D animation, that was something that I'm like, okay, yeah, I'd have to go to school to study for or something, because I did look for a lot of YouTube sources, and there were just some things that couldn't really do at the time when I was studying it. Couldn't really do it at home. Maybe you can nowadays. Maybe you can do it independently, but it's different and it's difficult. It's a different kind of difficult. And it's hard to have interests in things because, well, I'm speaking on a very personal note. It's personally difficult for me to have interests in things because I am always told that college is necessary. And I have always hated it because I'm trying to recall all that you said. I'm sorry. You had many great things to say, and I'm trying to unpack it all so I can remark on as much of it as I can. I always grew up thinking or being told college or trade school. That was it. You have to do one of those things. And then as I got older, I was told, okay, so that's actually not necessary. And I was like, oh, what? It's not? Oh, joy, less work. And they're like, well, no. And they explained it to me like, it kind of depends on the thing you want to do, but it's also, how do I phrase this? It's a constant guilt trip. Not considering college because people are like, what do you want to do with your life? And I'm like, I want to do my own thing. Right? Whatever that thing is. I have hope. A stupid amount of hope, some may say, but all the great geniuses did, for my argument. Everyone remarkable had a crazy hope and a crazy thing that became something unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right? And some people, unfortunately, never got the credit they deserved. But I want to do my own thing. I have a few things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right? I'm starting composing. I'm still writing music. I'm running a YouTube channel that, thanks to a few lucky algorithm hits, is getting better. We just established this channel separate for the podcast that potentially could turn into something big, which would be very awesome if it did, because that would give me a sense of direction. Because I know what I truly want in life. I just need to figure out how to get it. And college seems like a delay.
Yeah.
Because it's taking my time away from my thing. And that's how I have viewed all of school since I started high school. Quite ironically. I just say that because it's like funny timing, you know. As soon as I start high school, everything that isn't the thing becomes a waste of time, and I want to grind on it. And I'm told, grind on the school as quick so you can get it done as quickly as you can, so that you can get out and grind on the thing. But by the time that's done, I don't have any energy left. And all of the old people, every older person I know, says that that's an excuse. That's a mental roadblock. That's a bad mentality. And maybe they're right. But if I'm not doing the thing, first thing, it will never become my first thing. And that is also a stupid teenager mentality that I will admit to have, because I just really want to do the thing. And now that summer is coming up, I get to do more things. And there's a lot of avenues that are being opened up to me because I'm getting older. And that's difficult, because everybody's going to tell you to do something different. And then I watch people on the internet that say to do your own thing and go be remarkable, because anybody who says that you'll never do anything remarkable in your life, you should not speak to ever again, because everyone can be remarkable. I'm just having a difficult time in the process of being, because unfortunately that's one of the few things in life that actually has a process of being. It takes a long time to actually get known for being remarkable in something.
Yeah.
If you even have the skill. And everybody points to college, because you make connections, people, it's fun for social stuff. And I'm thinking about, I'm wasting 3 to 4 years of my life. I'm wasting a ton of money that I'm going to have to pay back when I'm in my 30s for friends and a degree that I could have a career in, but also I couldn't. That's the other problem with being a young person, I guess. Like, there's a lot of old people I know that complain because it's like, or tell us, you have the whole world open to you. You have the internet where all of the information you could ever want is at your fingertips. And like, it's a great thing, and you should never be sad. You should be amazed to be alive. You shouldn't even take it for granted. You should be way more happier. And I'm sitting here like, yes, but because of that, and because it happened so quickly, we don't have you to fall back to when we run into decision fatigue. Because there are so many people that I know who are so stuck with what they want to do with life, and they have no idea what they're doing, but they're doing something, but they don't even know what the thing is, because they don't perceive purpose. And then older people are like, well, why don't you perceive purpose? And then, unfortunately, some younger people are like, I did all the things you told me to do, and I still have no purpose. What did I do wrong? And then, they curse God, or they curse whoever they believe in, and they're like, I hate this world, and I did all the right things. I thought I did everything right, and this yada, 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 and I don't want to do that. And the problem with this new age is that so many young people I know that know they know for certain that they can get what they want.
Yeah.
Now. They can get it as soon as possible, and it would be a glorious life if they were just allowed to, in their words. Because for a few people, for me, school is a hindrance. And, I've known people that say, that's all your mentality, and you should always have a great mentality about whatever it is that you're doing, even if it sucks. It's good for you, and like, you should just shut up and eat the garbage and do what you're told and keep your head down and work, because that's how the adult world works. And you'll never be happy because you will always be bowing to someone. And that's not the life I want to live.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm sorry. I've gone and said a lot of things that do not actually pertain to the original subject.
It doesn't matter. I think that's really good, and I kind of agree with you. I actually tend to fall on the side of, I think things are what you make of it. Even if something is a hindrance, which I don't know if certain things are, don't know if they're not. But I think even if something is a hindrance, it still is what you make of it. If you make of it a good experience that helps you, it's going to be a good experience and help you. If you think about it as a hindrance, it's going to be a hindrance. Now, that doesn't affect what it is. It can delay you, yes, totally, and it can be, for all intents and purposes, a waste of time, yes. But I think you could still learn something from it. I think it really is what you make of it. And how you're saying about school, and I agree with you, because I'm somebody who also, doesn't want to go through that hassle. But for something for me like history, because this is something I'm very passionate about, and I love to tell stories of people who don't usually get their story told. And so basically, and I also want to make history something fun. History isn't as fun as it should be because history is basically the longest, weirdest, wackiest novel in the world. And it's always treated like it's super boring, and it is one of the most interesting things in the world. So I want to tell the stories of a lot of like weird and wacky stuff that doesn't get told, and treat it how it is, something that can be very fun, and honestly one of the best plots ever written. But to do that, I understand that I need credentials, which is why I want to go to college. Because even if it's just a bachelor degree, I want to be able to show that for as much as I'm breaking what normal people think about it, I have the credentials to back me up. I'm somebody who I don't want to keep my head down low for all eternity, but I'm willing to do it just to get that extra catharsis, that extra oomph whenever I'm like, nah, I'm out. And I don't think like either way is bad. It's just for me personally, I'm willing to bow my head a little bit and just, keep moving along to help me out.
There's some stuff that you have to bow your head to. There's no getting around that. There's always stuff like that in the world that you have to do, but the whole point is to live a happy life. Presumably you'd want to do that as little as possible. At least that's what I've been told, and that's a very honorable thing that you want to do. I very much respect it, and I'll be praying for you for that for a long time, because that's a great thing. That's a great thing. But it kind of comes back around to me not knowing what to do with my life, because I just know what I want, but I have no idea how I'm going to obtain it, because my mom and dad's lives went in a completely different direction, and they raised the family now with something they could never have predicted in 1,000 years that they would have been raising the family with. And
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't really want that to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much like, in that sense, actually, I take it from my little brother, because my little brother, the one who builds the most video games, because there's actually a few that build video games now, inspired by him, but the one that started it, he doesn't care about order very much. Like, order is a second. Mm-hmm. As long as he has maximum control, he is happy. And so when he doesn't have control, or at the very least, if a good idea that was his isn't credited as his, he loses it. Mm-hmm. And that manifests differently, but he basically loses it. And that's something I take from him, because there's so many people that I know who want control, because they see people who seem to have so much control in their lives. And you hear in your internet videos of like your videos or something from like Exurb 1A or something that's like, no, people don't actually have any control over their lives, and they're just as lost and confused as you, even in this point in life. And they all started like you, just lost and confused as some young person with no idea what to do, because they've all been told different things. And I sit there like, is that really how they are now? Really? They sleep on a mountain of money. I don't think they're really that confused. Like, I completely lost where I was going with this.
It's okay.
What was something you said? It is what you make of it, you said.
Yeah.
There's a lot, I keep refraining from saying we, because you clearly think differently. Mm-hmm. I'll just say I then. I hate saying I, but I'll say I. I am one of those people who thinks that some things are what you make of it, and if everything is what you make of it, then everything is heaven and hell at the same time. And that's not acceptable. I cannot... It's weird to hear that things are what you make of it, because there are things that are definite. And I know that argument, that statement, probably doesn't pertain to things that are self-evidently definite. But it's always treated like that, and it's always said like that, and that really, really bothers me. Because there's so many things that just are something, right? It doesn't matter what you make of it. I mean, you and I attend the same class, and there were many discussions about the person is being like bad. Are they a slave to the bad and not actually free because they're not actually doing the good? Mm-hmm. And the good is true freedom because it is good? Or is the bad or is that not the case? And I often think about when people say that it is what you make of it as, if evil people make out bad things to be good and they convince themselves of that truly, okay, maybe it is good to them, but it's not actually good. And then what happens if they pass it on to their children? What happens if they make it to like this, and they construct them to be like perfectly ignorant to something? Like, I'm not trying to debate you or anything, and I'm not trying to like dismantle your arguments or something, or like try to change your worldview on nothing. I'm just, it's so difficult because at this point, advice for most anything I've already heard from myself. Like, I went through a breakup, and everything I heard was something I could have gotten from a cheesy movie. And it's not, it's not, well, I'm not one to say that it's not. It wasn't funny to me. Mm-hmm. Because people just talk to make themselves feel better. Mm-hmm. Okay, everybody does that. Because people talk and they think they're doing the right thing by talking because they think they're helping. Right? Mm-hmm. That's fine, because I'm not going to tell them to not talk. But it gets to a point where it's like, okay, get on with it. Like, is there anything new and meaningful right now, please? Like, is there anything I like definite is there anything I could use? And the answer is always no, not really. And it gets...
So, I'm a fairly paradoxical thinker. I like holding things that seem opposites in equal regard, but they're not actually. So, I actually hold the idea that things are what they are, and things are what you make of it. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. What I mean by that is that everything is what it is. You can't really change that. However, your own personal experience is entirely up to you. Let me describe this going back to, like, history. So you can see history in two main ways. One, it's an absolutely horrific story of the worst of humanity doing the worst thing possible to each other. Or you can see history as a glorious triumph of the human spirit that time and time again marches forward in progression to end the horrific deeds and to make better what past generations have done. But the thing is, history is set in stone. As much as people would like to, you can't really change history. You can fabricate details here and there, make up stories and mythos. But the facts remain the same. It's happened. You can't change that. So history is what it is. But what you make of it is kind of up to the individual in a way. So the way I see saying, like, things are what you make of it, is that you can't change what something is. You can change how you understand it or perceive it, though. Like, a bad person making something bad into something good, that's not possible. You can't make something bad into good. However, you can trick yourself into thinking it's good, and you can take a bad experience and grow from it and learn from it. So it's
Well, it's
not
all mind control. It's all because you have so much control over your own mind that it's just
yeah,
what
basically.
what you have described as how something is what it is, but your perspective on it is what you make of it. That has been described to me as committing to a mentality, and hopefully that's the most healthy mentality, or the most true, I guess. I guess I have different terms then, because I kind of see where you're going with this.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm just a bit of a weird person, as I believe in definites, but I think a lot of stuff applied to them is subjective. I'm kind of think weirdly in the sense that I think you can very easily trick yourself into thinking things aren't what they are. But at the same time, I think also you can make that turn absolutely horrible things into things that help you. So it's kind of a two-way street. You can either ruin yourself by doing it, or you can help yourself. That's why throughout the years, I've basically just tried to become more positive. I was a really big pessimist, and in some ways, I still am a really big pessimist. But I've learned to kind of take the bad in stride. Is that, in a weird way, I've always admired people who have managed to have a good attitude through absolutely horrible things, and I've tried to replicate that. Because in my experience, I have learned that just being angry and sad isn't fun. And I like having fun. I think it's one of the best things you can do. That's why I make the funny internet videos. Is because I like fun, and I like letting other people have fun. So it's something that I just try and do. I try and make things fun. And in a way, you could say that's a coping mechanism. But same way, like you said, I think it's just a mentality. I think that even if the worst things happen, if you come at it with it, I guess like it could be worse, or it couldn't get any worse. It's hard to describe, but I think it's just
that's what I. Sorry, go ahead.
If you go through life with a good attitude, in a way, there's only so much bad that can happen to you. Because at some point, the bad gets stuck into your mind. And it can really damage you. But if you try and keep it out, in a way, you can protect yourself. Like, this isn't to say that, like, bad things won't happen to you, or they won't be horrible things that'll make you sad. But if fundamentally you're just like, I'll be fine, and fundamentally, it's like, I just want to be happy and have fun, I think in some way you will find some way to get back to that.
Well, geez, sorry, it's a bit to fathom for me. I know this sounds weird, but it's like,
no, it's because everyone, just as you said, everyone has very different mentalities. I have a very weird mentality that came up from a very weird life. I do not have a very normal life.
Weird. Man, what in the world is an average life?
That's fair.
Even such a thing.
That is true, but my experiences differ so much from most people in the world. And the way it's
join the club.
Yeah. It's like
I have been told nothing but that my entire life.
But see, to me, like, this is the weird thing, because for me, your life seems, well, maybe not normal, but I don't know how to describe it. You seem like a normal guy to me. Like, that's the thing. And I don't see myself as normal.
I would ask then, normal based on what?
I don't know, just people I meet.
What exactly are you comparing me to?
It's hard to. I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I just most people come off as just like, people to me. Whereas I don't come off as a person. I come off as myself. And I think that's just something that's in my own head because I'm more aware of myself than other people because I'm in here. I'm in whatever this thing is. So I'm just more aware of myself in general, which I guess makes me like more remove myself from other people. But yeah, I understand that it's hard to fathom because I just think about things weird.
Thing that you're there though, because it's a thing that you're in there though because it's good to think, right? Like it's actually something I've been thinking about last week. I just a while ago that you know how Jordan Peterson has this talk about how people think in words and pictures, how some people think in just words and some people think in just pictures.
I don't know the talk, but I understand the concept. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the concept that some people think in words and some people think in pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And I always considered that people that think in pictures are typically like the more creative people or something. I don't know why, but that's just what I assumed when I heard of the concept. And I gave it a lot of thought, and I began to realize why maybe it's not entirely why, but I would like a therapeutic explanation for why I have gone into the analog horror rabbit hole and why it's difficult for me to go to sleep even when I've had a completely exhaustive day. Why it's so difficult for me to sit still though I don't have a medical condition. I can't stop thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always up here, and that really helps me and that really hurts me because I can't stop thinking about what other people think of me, despite how much I say to myself that it doesn't actually matter.
Mm-hmm.
I keep telling myself, but it does, because you're going to want to get married one day, huh? You want to be a good dad? Your life is going to depend upon how people think about you to some degree. And then I sit there in bed kind of dying inside. And then I don't ever I can't stop thinking, and it's honestly really bad, I think, because it's not how am I out here? It's not. It hurts. It doesn't hurt. It's just difficult for me to hear a lot of things because I've already heard it a million times in my head and in other things and from other people.
Mm-hmm.
And everything begins to seem cliche at some point.
Yeah.
And one of those cliche things is that things are what you make of them. Yes, I get that your experience, your personal experience, is something that you make of it, because inherently it's a personal experience. It's yours. So it is what it isn't so much it is what you make of it, so much it is your experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that I wish people would use different words for, but that may be one of that's probably one of the things. But I don't mind hearing it differently, because I mean, I'm not the king of language, but I don't know. It's difficult because I can't stop thinking of all these different options and stuff, and it's weird. That's also why I don't. In a sense, I guess this is why the podcast is good for me, and in a sense, why it's so bad. Because for all you people watching, if you are watching, if anybody's watching this far in, AK here will testify to you that I apologize after almost every episode because I know I forgot somewhere, for talking too much about something completely off topic and off base, and honestly something that's very personal to record and publish to the world, and I apologize for that. And he is gracious enough to forgive me every time. And I'm probably going to do it again at the end of this one because I don't know any better or something. But now I completely lost where I was going with that. And now I just look like a fool. Again. I guess what I meant to say was that, kind of to tie back to something we were talking about way earlier, like towards the beginning, is something about people, is that it's become very difficult for me to talk to people in larger social settings, especially because then I'm just going off and talking in front of people, and then people like give me like weird looks or something, or maybe that's all in my head too, because at this point I have no idea. It very well could be. It's difficult to think so much is my point. I just don't like how much I think sometimes. It's not you get what I'm saying? I'm trying very hard to say this. I'm sorry.
No, I understand. It's just that you think a lot, and sometimes it's really hard to shut your brain off. It's that you just...
It's really hard to shut up.
That too. But yeah, it's... I know people suffer from that, and the only advice I can offer you is just find something that really relaxes you and lets you turn your brain off. That's really the only solution I've found with other people, is that a lot of other people have similar issues. They just get something that just kind of helps them relax. But yeah, it's...
that is depending on whether it's actually a problem or not, because some people say that it's not a problem at all.
I don't think it's necessarily a problem, but if you can't sleep because of it, I would classify that as a problem.
It's all kind of tossed together here and there. I don't know how to conclude this because I've been talking so much about myself. I feel terrible.
I'm sorry. That's not good. Well, then I'll wrap it up.
It's not your fault. Don't apologize. I don't know. I just want to say that it's not necessarily I just need to sleep, honestly. I just need to
That is completely
fine. Just sleep better.
Yeah. Alright, everyone. So that was another episode of Idiots on the Airwave, where we don't know what we were talking about, and you probably don't either. As always, he's been the Idiots, and I am on top of the airwaves. But yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed. Great conversations as always. This has become a philosophy channel mixed in with a little bit of music. So with that, thank you all for watching. We are so grateful for your existence. Unless you don't like us, then not so much. But overall, thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you next time, where we will be talking. I hope. Bye.
I hope. Farewell.